Historically, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been one of the more sorry organizations across the NBA. Drafted in 1995, Kevin Garnett was their guy for many, many years at the power forward position, leading them to their franchise best playoff run in 2004, making the Western Conference Finals. Since his departure in 2007, there have been some bright spots that eventually dimmed out. But after drafting a Georgia freshman that many had questions about, Anthony Edwards is now leading the Minnesota Timberwolves to the brightest era of basketball in 20 years, as they just won their first playoff series in 20 years. As a 22-year-old guard, Ant-Man has the explosiveness and athleticism, the skill, and the heart that every basketball fan craves in a player for their favorite team, and he is only getting better. He had a very impressive series in the first round sweep of the Phoenix Suns, showing us exactly who he is. My name is Rashad, or Hoops times 2, and we will be looking at what this young star showed us on the offensive side of the ball. In game 1, Anthony Edwards really seemed like a different player from half 1 to half 2. In half 1, Ant got into some turnover trouble. Phoenix did a good job swarming him a lot of the time when he looked to attack. We see this not even 2 minutes into the first quarter. Grayson Allen is checking him. Jaden McDaniels sets a ghost screen, bringing Devin Booker to immediately help crowd the ball. Beal is ready to help too. Ant kind of dribbles into nothingness, and 5 Suns end up surrounding him. He has nowhere to go, and KD intercepts it. Less than a minute later, we see it again, with the Gobert pick and roll. Beal fights with Gobert to get under the screen as Nurkic hedges, with Allen and Booker ready to help, and KD tagging Gobert to make any attempt of a pass to him difficult. Ant tries to split Beal and Nurkic after a few seconds, but they get their hands in there well, and he loses the ball. He was able to capitalize in transition on Phoenix's mistakes, but he couldn't find much in the half court in half number 1. But a much more deliberate mindset and attacking in space versus dribbling into Suns helped Ant tremendously in half number 2. And he really started to play his game. We see another Ant Gobert pick and roll like we saw earlier, with Conley near the right wing and with McDaniels and Cat in the corners. Nurkic hedged the last time, but this time he comes up way more aggressively, and this allows Ant to use his speed to split Nurkic and Beal like he tried to do before, this time making his move right away rather than waiting until the defense is already set up. And once he gets through them, finishing at the basket is much easier. Again, the young star showcases more deliberate decision making. And here we see some good patience, and getting exactly to his spot is a theme in the second half. Next play, we see Allen kind of play Ant's right hand, really giving him the left drive. And again, we see Ant get right to his spot. Nurkic is there, but the pull up happens right before he can really be effective. These one-on-one scenarios don't allow Phoenix to double because Ant is looking for his mid-range shot a lot more in this half because of Phoenix's determination to send so many when he looks to attack the cup, and he showcases more insane footwork here. Going for isolations in space helped the young star find much more success. He really just started to have fun out there, and you could tell he was feeling himself, letting KD know who he is. Phoenix started to understand that the help could not wait until Ant had his feet in the paint. So they started to send doubles on the perimeter, and I think Ant's third quarter 18-point barrage helps him to grow much more comfortable, and his decision making showed it. He ended the game with 33 points and just cooked the Suns in that second half. We'll title Game 2 Win by Committee. Ant's high-powered scoring brought the T-Wolves over the top in game number 1. Game 2 was a lot different as Ant struggled from the field. We saw a lot more passive version of the usually confident All-Star in the second game, and he shot just 3 for 12. A lot of these are shots he can make. More Phoenix doubles and triples, I guess, threw off any rhythm he could have had, but I would have liked to see him assert himself like we all know he is capable of. But that's why you have teammates, and the other T-Wolves stepping up, I guess, kind of allowed him to have a more slow night. Mike Conley had 18, and he was huge while Ant struggled, helping keep the team afloat. Jaden McDaniels was incredibly active and very aggressive, with a game-high 25. He's so good defensively, and his offensive game, continuing to develop, will be everything for his future. And Gobert chipped in 18 as well. It is always nice when a team can rely on a number of different players, and that is so necessary for any team looking to win it all. Minnesota got so much out of Phoenix loading up on Ant-Man, as they capitalized well time and time again. Ant also did show some more plays with some good passes and reads, and this is usually the next step to becoming a superstar. not only creating for yourself, but for your teammates as well. An off game for the young star, but his teammates definitely lifted him up as Minnesota took a 2-0 lead. Now in Phoenix, the Wolves look to take a commanding 3-0 lead, while the Suns fight to stay alive. And Ant was back to his buckets in Game 3 as he put everything together, showing his entire bag. We see Ant's versatility as a scorer straight away in this game. He comes off of a Gobert screen and steps into an easy pull-up midi. I love that he gets an easy one to start. Beal guards well here, but gets overly aggressive at the end, and Ant battles through for the tough and one. He then hits a tough floater versus KD. He is back to being his aggressive self, looking for his buckets, like we saw in the second half of Game 1, with more of those developed playmaking chops like we saw in Game number 2. Getting past Nurkic here causes some rotation, and he finds Nas Reed well. Despite the miss, a simple pass for a good look. Less than a minute later, he hits a deep three. Then another good drive and kick, this time to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This was consistent throughout the entire game. He was getting his buckets while setting his teammates up very well. Again, this is oftentimes the final piece to becoming a true superstar. As valid as it is to rave about his scoring and high-flying ability, he has made some major improvements as a passer and overall playmaker. He can knock down shots from deep, get his in the mid-range, and we all know about his insane pressure that he can put on the rim. But a mix of just good simple passes, as well as some very impressive dimes, makes Ant-Man that much more dangerous. And again, he just put everything together in this Game 3 for 36 points and 5 assists. He did still have some turnover issues with 5 on the game, but overall, he controlled the offense so well and was so poised. Wolves up 3 games to none. No team has ever come back down 3-0 in the history of the league. Phoenix is facing an extremely disappointing first-round exit after juicing up their offense as much as they could in pursuit of getting back to the NBA Finals. The Suns did show some fight, but this Timberwolves squad was simply better, led by 40 points from Anthony Edwards. But it did take them some time to get going in the tale of two halves. We see more of the same in half number 1, with the playmaking as his drives and Phoenix's pressure led to open look after open look. But he was pretty quiet as a scorer to start. He put up 4 threes in the first quarter alone, missing them all, and ending up 1 for 6 in the first half from long range. He found much more success attacking the basket quickly and getting downhill, which led to some trips to the line, but again, he was still getting his squad open looks. Half number 2 was simply a different story, as he seemed to realize the chance his team had to sweep a star-studded Suns team, and he just didn't look back. Ant-Man struck a match at halftime, completely turning around his shooting. A couple minutes into the third, he buries one from the corner. Just over 30 seconds later, Ant cans another one from deep. Now reaching into his bag a little, he sizes up Royce O'Neal and gives him 3 more. From 1 for 6 in the first half from 3 to 6 for 7 in the second half, ending the game 7 for 13 from deep. He gets to the rim. He finds his guy in the corner. He's finding guys so well, creating an open look almost every time he has the ball in his hands. Ant wants Beal. Ant wants to clear out for some post work. Ant gets the fade. Whatever he wanted, he was getting, led by his absolute knockdown 3-point shooting in the second half. Some more impressive scores, as well as a couple blocks on Booker, helped Ant and his team to dim the sun for good. Cat also played well throughout the game with 28 points and 10 rebounds. And this is the Cat they'll absolutely need going forward, especially as they look at the Denver Nuggets in front of them. Anthony Edwards has turned into a star before our eyes, maybe even a superstar. He played well in the first round last year versus the Nuggets, and he showed up once again this year. These are the easiest guys to root for, the ones that shine the brightest on the biggest stages. The Timberwolves organization, players, and fans are lucky to have this guy in the city, and I'm expecting him to bring them their first championship at some point. Anthony Edwards showed us who he is versus the Phoenix Suns. What do you think? How good is Anthony Edwards now? How good will he be? How much of a chance do you give Minnesota versus Denver? I would love for them to win, and I'm rooting for them, but ultimately, I believe the Nuggets are just too good and will go back to back. Where does Phoenix go from here? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Rashad with Hoops Times 2. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all next time. Peace out.